There's a portal in your pocket, but is the scry ball wagging the dog? Phones are essentially wizard balls. Straight up, they do all the same things, which makes us wizards, which means that we have to contend with the same potential and peril wizards ball that balls offer our favorite wizards from fiction. Crystal object holding all knowledge, the location of anyone, live scenes from around the world, that could tell you the future as well. Hey Siri, what's the weather tomorrow? And if we've all got balls, we need to be keenly aware of their scary potential. There are two kinds of wizards. All the wily warlocks got something in common. Power, yes, but it's power that comes from knowledge.
Esotericism is from the Greek esoteros, meaning inner. Esotericism involves things that can only be understood by an inner circle of people, such as those with infinite knowledge amongst your subject.
This is totally the path of the wizard. I mean, they're basically magical nerds. Evil wizards think that their knowledge gives them permission to break physical and moral laws. Jealousy, vanity, isolation, self-centeredness. Do the symptoms sound familiar? How else would you describe a terminally online person? I made a word. Wisdom is moral blindness caused by the fetishization of esoteric knowledge, and it affects evil wizards as much as it affects modern people. Insight makes them feel powerful, but there is no outlet but the self. Their means of access is a mirror, because the worst parts of their desires are being projected back at them, right? The user uses learning as an excuse to nurture their own covetousness and support their own toxic false narratives. In some cases, they're explicitly being controlled by darker powers. An evil leader is controlling the ball to selectively show the gazer what they want and to control their actions. That is literally the business model for targeted ads. The corrupted wizard and the phone addict prove that the assumed power dynamic between the watched and the watcher is actually totally reversed. And it's a legitimate criticism of big tech who pull the levers of knowledge in their invisible, nefarious ways, right? I'm not even trying to be conspiratorial, like shadow bans, sure, but also trending pages, sponsored content. This is just not a transparent game. The orb is gazing at you.
Oh no.
This stuff is so freaking good. Pull the script up. Do you know what knowledge is? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. You wouldn't know knowledge if it bit you in the eye. Where the frick is Audacity? Luckily, I'm here to tell you what it is. So a while back, people thought that knowledge is basically like a thing. It's a real thing out there.
That's
it's
a very
singular,
salacious
real
accusation.
thing. And they figured that if you use reason and you try to be objective, you can figure things out about the world. And that's so much more fun than medieval magic. I love penicillin. Well, a couple of French folks decided that is not really the whole story. Everyone lives in their own stories. And the way that individuals construct knowledge and know things is going to be inherently different from one another. It's a plural thing, and it's more subjective. Postmodernism's commitment to marginalized voices and the plurality of human experience has like advantages and disadvantages. What I find interesting is how this subjective plural model of knowledge is reflected in the way that we consume information. My friend and I decide to hang out and end up watching TikTok in the same room for an hour. We've shared exactly zero common information between us. Each of us was transfixed by a portal attuned to specifically what we wanted to see. It's really just a technical quirk of algorithmically curated content, but it is an echo of postmodern philosophy. I call this phenomenon the postmodern information digital data landscape environment, or PIDL for short. Our phone's not a neutral party. So PIDL is, like, on a technical level, counter to Enlightenment values of empiricism and rationality. Again, this is not like an objectively bad thing. It's just that there are pitfalls. And PIDL feeds postmodern values of relative. Users who sit in their own PIDL too long build these weird DIY piecemeal worldviews because when we are literally left to our own devices, the stream of gauzy images glued together by our own desires, they reflect back the worst parts of ourselves until we turn into monsters. This is the prime peril of the wizard ball parable. When we can see whatever we want, our hunger for more supersedes our sense of the greater good and it consumes us. But there is another way. Hello. Okay, are you ready for this bomb? Ball gazing? Not all bad. It's freaking gnat, bro. What the There are plenty of good wizards. Good wizards are wise. They help their communities. Usually, they have an apprentice. Good wizards also have access to esoteric knowledge. So, what's the difference? Good wizards are humble. They treat knowledge and power with respect. And most importantly, they choose to take care of other people with their power. A side note, which is kind of interesting, a lot of like wizard lore is a generational thing. Like wizards are usually old people, and then their apprentices or the heroes that they're either hunting down or helping are younger. Like age and purity and beauty are usually a huge element of this. Think like the Evil Queen, Maleficent. Also on the good side of things, like Merlin and like Obi-Wan and Anakin situation. The generational conflict is an element of this whole story. If you buy into the premise, modern wizards are usually the young people, but it's kind of like going in the reverse direction with phone addicts, where Gen Z will like antagonize boomers, right? Even how we are now more than ever cognizant of that generational split is kind of an interesting element of this analogy. But I digress. Good wizards know when to pause the ball gazing and go teach someone. They choose to be useful and channel their knowledge, channel their magic to the people that need their help. In real life, in neat space. They're not stuck up in a tower somewhere. That's evil wizard behavior, or with like a bunch of, turtle monkeys or whatever the crap. Good wizards are out in the world accomplishing things with the hero, helping people do real stuff in real life. Their power is funneled into something more important than themselves, and they take responsibility for it. I invented a second word. Wisdom is humility coupled with expertise. It is a choice to take responsibility for your community and to protect the weak. Knowledge through the lens of mentorship is true magic. Oh. In the age of information, we wizards can temper the infinite potential of our balls with meaning and responsibility for others. We have to ally ourselves with a cause that's greater than ourselves. We can leverage information for good. It just won't happen by default. So, go take care of someone. Teach someone something that you learned. Go help your community and use your smarts with humility for someone else's betterment. Wizard balls. Wizard balls.
A body has been discovered.